Well, you may know him as Milk Bar TV on social media. Nathan Livingston's videos have been shared by many shows, including mine, Jimmy Dore, Megyn Kelly, Redacted. He's known for taking clips and making compilations that show how hypocritical people are, including Fauci during COVID, mainstream media, and recently Andrew Tate. I'm going to show you some of the compilations that he makes. And these are ones of Andrew Tate. There's about 4 of them, and I'm not going to play the whole things. I'm just going to play clips of them so that you get an idea of the type of work Nathan is doing and the type of work that now Andrew Tate is suing him over.
2 girls have claimed Andrew Tate approached them on social media when they still attended school.
The PhD course is my recruitment system.
PhD is a pimp and hose degree.
So the recruitment process is you message them on Instagram.
I was contacted by Andrew Tate, the older of the Tate brothers, 3 years ago when I was just 16.
Daria was 16 when she says she received a private message on Instagram 2 years ago from Andrew Tate's account. It read simply, Romanian girl, followed by a strawberry emoji.
I was all about trying to get paid. Like I used sex as a tool to make women love me so they'd obey me and live in my house and make me money. That's what I wanted. So I was a pimp in that sense.
Your goal is to inspire a girl to make money and give you the money. So the way you're going to do that is you have to have some element of influence. In the pimp game, you need to learn how to control her and retain her. You need to make her do as you say, and you have to keep her. Yeah. And you have to keep her regardless, in spite of the fact that you cheat, you're busy, you take all her money, you make her do something she doesn't want to do, and she still has to stay with you. And I became a multi-millionaire. I did this by creating a webcam studio, by taking girls who didn't know how to be effective on webcam, girls who had never done webcam before, girls who didn't have the equipment, didn't have the know-how, didn't have the will, didn't have the premises, didn't have the ability to make money with this exchange. I created a system that allowed me to convince girls to do this, allowed me to retain 100% control of their income. I know how to make sure the girl can't run away, because once you teach a girl how to do this, she has the ability to make unlimited money from home. Why would she still give it to you? Why would she just run off and keep it all for herself? Her believing she... But the majority of my money wasn't made in fighting. My money was actually made in the pimp game.
A pimp is a human trafficker.
Okay, you look at it from my position, pimp game. Having sex with girls is all good, but how do you get them to do as you say, make you money, obey you, allow you to cheat on them in front of their face and still love you? That's the game.
Pimps for themselves believe that they are managers of prostitutes.
The skill I'm going to teach you is exactly the same. I could easily translate mine to a street business, and you could easily street pimp with the things I'm going to teach you.
There's a video from 10 years ago that showed me in a sexual act with one of my ex-girlfriends. There's a video from 10 years ago that showed me in a sexual act with one of my ex-girlfriends. From 10 years ago.
Hey, stupid bitch. I didn't say the word listen. Did I say listen?
Hello everyone, I just wanted to say something about the video that's been released recently about me and my ex-boyfriend Andrew Tate. Andrew is my still great friend. What you guys saw in the video, it's just what we used to do. It was just pure game. He's a great guy, he would never hurt anyone.
There's a video from 10 years ago that showed me in a sexual act with one of my ex-girlfriends.
Just what happens, you don't listen. Look at the camera. Why are you getting hit? Why are you getting beaten? You don't listen. You. Do as I say.
There's a video from 10 years ago that showed me in a sexual act with one of my ex-girlfriends. If I said it was a game and she said it was a game, who are other people to then comment on our lives? It was between 2 consenting adults. We decided to do something ourselves, and we both agreed it was fine. That's just kink shaming.
Why are you getting beaten?
Which that's all it is.
Okay, so because of these compilations, Andrew Tate is suing Nathan Livingston for defamation. Now, Andrew's going to lose, and Andrew probably knows that, but he's also come out saying he doesn't care. Watch this.
You can't hide in this world. It took all of 3 minutes to get all the information. And as for litigating his parents, I don't need a reason. You're going to have to defend yourself, regardless. That's the thing about the American legal system. You cannot ignore it. I don't care if it costs me $1 million to take $1,000 out of your bank. You're going to be in court twice a month for the rest of your human years. I don't care. I will sue you for any and every reason forever. And you're going to have to hire lawyers and turn up forever. I'll do that. I'm that guy. I'm petty. I'm petty and I've got a lot of money and a lot of time. So it's not even about guilty. It's not about why. It's just about because I can. It's one of many, many things I was going to do. I'd buy the property next to his father's Airbnb and list it for free. I will bankrupt you. You don't understand the levels I will go to. I'm that guy. And he felt it because people turned up at his door. Once I had his address, I started putting, I didn't want to get banned from Twitter. Obviously, it happened in the end anyway. Yeah. But at first I put his street name, then I put his house number. And then when guys turned up at his house, I had to fly some friends of mine from Vegas to LA. Like, I had to spend money on this shit. This took time out of my life. When he looked out the window and saw the SUV, then he starts apologizing on the internet. Like a little bitch. I still might litigate him into the fucking ground. Why not? What else have I got to do? Anybody could run their mouth to me. I could do the same thing to them. I've turned up at dudes' houses before. I put it on Twitter.
Yeah.
I do this.
Okay. Nathan, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Kim.
Sorry this is happening to you. This is one of the nightmares, I think, those of us in creative, in journalism, we worry about the day we just get hit with a lawsuit. Tell us, how did you find out about this lawsuit? How did that go down?
There's people who keep tabs on lawsuits that are being filed, especially with Andrew Tate, because he's so litigious. So someone just sent this to me and said, this is what's happening. And yeah.
So you weren't served? You weren't served or anything?
Still haven't been served yet, but I'm kind of expecting that any day now. I am in Australia, so it's a little more complicated, but it's not that hard to do. And if they really want to track me down, I'm not that hard to find.
Right. But at this point, then, if you haven't been served, I don't think you're being sued technically just yet, right?
Yeah, so the lawsuit has been filed, and they're in the process where court hearings are already happening. So they're trying to get a judge allocated, the same judge that's been presiding over another case where they're suing someone. So the wheels are in motion. So me and the other defendants, our feelings are we want to get on the front foot with this and try and squash it and take it down as fast as possible. We know what the history is like with intimidation and especially with doxing. So we'd rather them not collect as much personal information on us as possible to justify putting it out because, there's this lawsuit going on. So we feel like let's get on the attack and let's try and just, get on top of this.
Yeah, no, for sure. Who are the others?
So there's 15 of us. The majority of them are citizen journalists, and the majority of them are anonymous accounts who remain anonymous because of the attack that the Tates deploy with doxing. But there's also included there's influencers, and there's even there's a lawyer representing 4 of their alleged victims in the UK, and there's even a person who works for the organisation Nkosi, the National Centre on Sexual Exploitation, who's been advocating against human trafficking, and also they're representing one of the alleged victims, an American alleged victim.
So all of you are named in one lawsuit, or are these 15 separate lawsuits?
It's all one. So the premise of the lawsuit is that we all work together as a conspiracy to defame them, which is, absolutely absurd. I'm an independent filmmaker. Anyone who watches my work can see that, it's mine. It's got my signature. It's such a mixed bunch of people that, I think they have the people that they precisely want to target. And so this is the way that they framed it. I believe there's only one person who actually resides in Florida where the lawsuit has been filed. So I think this is their way to justify the lawsuit, is to bundle us all together and then claim that the traffic from social media was seen in Florida and there's one person who resides there. And so we're all a conspiracy. And so we all work together to try and lie and take down the Tate brothers, which is, just completely absurd.
Yeah. So have the 15 of you then gotten on a Zoom call together and said, all right, we're all being sued by Andrew Tate? Like, have you had communication with every single one of you, or are there others that don't even know they're being sued yet?
No, I mean, a lot of these people have never even had contact with each other. So that is the thing. It's, there is no conspiracy. There's a joke name that some people threw around called Team Matrix, which was always a joke because there was this idea that there's a few people who are able to kind of take down the Tate brothers with the truth. But there is no Team Matrix. There is no conspiracy. So we're all individuals. But several of us have decided we're going to engage with this lawsuit. So not all of the 15 people are involved with this fundraiser and are involved with this defense. Some people are going to go their own way. I think some people are going to hope that they don't get served. So I think that's the thing, that there is no conspiracy. We don't work as a team. We are all individuals.
Right. And so what are they alleging specifically that you've done?
Well, with me, they have my examples of defamation that's laid out in the lawsuit. And I mean, they include me simply quoting the Romanian prosecutor. They include me laying out with some of the videos how I say that there's proof of some of the things that Andrew Tate did. That is proof. It's included as evidence in the Romanian indictment. I mean, they've really tried to just throw in there as much as they can, and everything in there is backed up with facts and I believe.
Yeah, I mean, with defamation, it's tough with a public figure for them to go after people for defamation. I mean, we see celebrities and politicians and royalty, all of these people getting hit with all kinds of people just saying whatever they want about them, conspiracies and whatnot. And it's difficult. Defamation is one that requires the person doing it to, for one, not believe what they're saying. When you're doing this against a public figure, they'd have to prove that you didn't believe what you said. You just said it to harm the person, and you said things that you knew were false to harm the person specifically. So, if you were to, and this could be against anybody, really. I mean, it's the bar is lower when you're going after just like a neighbor and they sue you for defamation, or a local business person, somebody who's not actually in the public eye. But once somebody's in the public eye, it's very difficult for that person to sue for defamation and win. I mean, anybody could sue anybody, as the Tates have showcased, but actually you can't really. Now, Florida, I believe, has anti-SLAPP laws. Have you looked into that?
We have, yeah. Hopefully we can try and get this. I think that's the idea, is to try and just get this thrown out as quickly as possible.
Well, not only that, but you can sue them for filing a frivolous lawsuit against you.
Yeah. And I think that's important to highlight, is that none of us are attempting to make any money off of this.
Yeah, screw it. Make all the money you can. I mean, look at if he's going to be
anything. Look, I'd happily take as much money from them as possible. But the important thing to highlight is that none of us are attempting to make a profit off this.
Right. Yeah.
Any of the money that we receive will be put to either the alleged victims that they themselves taking the Tates to course, or to organizations and charities that are related to trafficking victims.
Yeah.
That's
nice of you. Yeah, for sure. No, but it'd be great if you did get some money, because this is, this type of behavior. The reason why there's anti-SLAPP laws, which for those that don't know, that is, somebody has put a defamation. It's when, what does it stand for? What is the actual? What does it stand for? It stands for Anti-Strategic Lawsuit Against Public Participation. So it refers to laws that provide a legal defense for individuals or groups who are sued for exercising their First Amendment rights of speech and petition. These laws are designed to prevent abusive lawsuits aimed at silencing critics or those exercising their right to speak on matters of public interest, which is exactly what you've done, which is what, the others in this lawsuit have done. And so you would absolutely have. Now, not every state has anti-SLAPP laws, but I believe Florida is an anti-SLAPP state. Let me see. The anti-SLAPP states, there's 34 states and the District of Columbia who have anti-SLAPP laws in place designed to protect individuals from these types of frivolous lawsuits. And the whole point of using an anti-SLAPP is to make him pay. I mean, here he is saying in these videos, we're going to make you pay so that you're silenced, right? I mean, that's the game. It's don't criticize because you could get hit with a lawsuit and then you're going to have to spend all this money and go bankrupt potentially with attorneys. Well, then do the same to them so that they don't do it. You know, it's like the same mental game, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's been shocking to see how effective they've deployed this lawfare. You know, I think it's important to highlight that they have a track record of, suing anyone they like, and you know, some of it is processed quite shockingly far. You know, so that includes one of their alleged victims, who is an American, and they sued her for defamation. Just for giving a statement to the Romanian prosecutors. They've then made her life a living hell for the past 3 years. And they put up her personal information online. You know, their own lawyer has revealed her parents' home address, her passport number. They even sued her friend, who was a Marine, and he was the one who contacted the Romanian authorities. So they sued him because of that. So yeah, I think that's, you know, like we said, do they expect to win? No, I mean, I don't think that even comes into the calculation.
Right.
It's purely about
obviously not.
Make things.
Well, your compilation videos are them saying the things. I mean, it's they're saying it. So yeah, how can you?
I mean, that is the thing. That is the thing that makes it very, very unique, and why the videos have been so effective. There's very few cases where you have someone who's criminally charged, who has so much public footage of them admitting to the crimes that they're charged with.
Right.
I was speaking to a lawyer from Nicosia, from the National on Sexual Exploitation. I was asking, have you ever seen this amount of self-snitching before in a case? And the only other example she could give was Pornhub, because Pornhub will have titles that are, you know, that say that there's a minor in the video.
Yeah.
That's the only case. That's the only case that she could give. For an individual, she's never seen this amount of self-snitching, just hours and hours and hours of them laying down exactly how they committed the crimes. That's backed up with all of this evidence.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they say it on camera. Their defense on that is, well, we could say whatever we want. It doesn't mean we're doing it. You know, it's like part of the persona that we're saying we're out there pimping hoes and, you know, but we're not really pimps. They're not really, you know, it's just the thing we say in order to get business. That's their defense. That's what they claim.
Yeah, but I think it's important to highlight that the Tate brothers are compulsive liars. Yeah, and we've seen that about how they've completely just lied and shaped the narrative around their criminal cases. You know, they've used the fact that the criminal cases are taking place in Romania to their advantage, to be able to get ahead of every story and to manipulate the narrative around what that case actually is, even what the charges are. You know, I mean, Andrew Tate will sit down with Tucker Carlson, and Tucker Carlson will say, you know, you're not charged with rape, are you? And Andrew Tate will just, I'm not charged with rape. He is charged with rape,
right?
You know, that's where, you know, they are compulsive liars. So anything they say, you need to actually verify and have proof to actually back up what they're saying, and that's why you have these countless hours of them, you know, admitting to these techniques of human trafficking. That's also backed up with all this evidence within the Romanian indictment. Mm-hmm. You have just, you know, streams and streams of these verified chats from their phones where they discuss, you know, how they are pimping these women out, how they're lying about what they're giving them. You know, how they're even talking about committing an assault on one of the women who wants to leave and no longer do webcamming. You know, there's even bank transfers. I mean, these people think they're geniuses. They're also just complete morons. You know, their bank accounts literally are called like pimping, you know, and like hoes and that's the name of the transfers from their money. So that's why the evidence is there. You have witness statements, you have the victim statements. There's so much there to back up what they've admitted to on camera.
Yeah. Even, I mean, guilty or not guilty, I just cannot believe that they've been turned into, role models for young men in some way. I am appalled that guys like Patrick Bet-David, who I like Patrick a lot. I think Pat's a really good guy. And I'm just like, what in the world are you doing? Propping up these guys for your sons to what? Follow? I mean, this is not the trajectory I think we want young men to go down. I understood the rise of Jordan Peterson, for example. I understand, Jordan Peterson gave young men something to look forward to, but it was healthy. What he was, he wrote books and it was healthy stuff. And then, so I understand, and then I understand the appeal of Joe Rogan, of course, and Joe's not trying to be anybody's role model. He's just curious, asking lots of questions, doing lots of interviews, and young men look up to him. And he's also a really great guy, married, committed guy, just like Pat. These are good guys. But with Andrew Tate, this is like a whole different level of, I do not understand the propping him up. And I mean, look, I don't agree with silencing people because we don't like them. I don't agree with, that aspect of it. But like I said, guilty or not guilty, these are not good role models for young men to be following.
Yeah, I think I think it's quite interesting to watch. A good way to think about the Tate brothers, to frame them, is as scam artists and con artists, and that's why those same methods that they deployed on women, they call it the PhD, the pimping hose degree. You can apply that in all sorts of areas, and Andrew Tate. Yeah, he's even taught a course on networking where he lays out just exactly how he networks, and he's got it down to a craft, and we've seen that how far he's got. He's even somehow got influence within the Trump administration now, and we've seen them pull strings for them and interfere with the Romanian prosecution. So that's why it's like. These guys, the Tate brothers, have got their tentacles everywhere they can, and so that's why it's like when I see Tucker Carlson or Patrick Bet-David just grinning and somehow buying into the Tate brothers, their lies, and believing that these are good guys and a good influence on men, I see them as no different to the young girls that they managed to apply the PhD program to. That's where I feel like they've been brainwashed as well. I don't think that someone like a Patrick Bet-David is an evil person or a bad person. I think that the Tate brothers have very effectively manipulated him into believing what they want him to believe. And that's the important thing. It's this idea that the Tate brothers are a good influence on young men. It's like what you said with the Jordan Peterson comparison. If it was just that the Tate brothers were setting an example that, you should go to the gym, you should try and be a strong masculine man that, protects women and goes out there and, try and achieves what they deserve in the world, that would be great. But that's not what it is. I mean, these guys, it's like a cult where everything feeds back into how Andrew Tate can profit from it. The amount of times where I'll post a video that's them saying something completely disturbing, like Tristan Tate saying how he can recruit any girl into pornography. It doesn't matter if this girl has a really good father. If that father is poor, then she's going to want something. She's going to want a purse, and she's going to get it somehow. And he's going to manage to feed into that, and he's going to use that and manipulate her into performing pornography for him. And it's amazing the amount of times where I'll have a Tate supporter who replies underneath that saying, the Tates have been great for me. They got, I was suicidal after a divorce and they've, got me back into shape and now I feel great about myself. And it's this crazy thing where it's just like, okay, but why are you replying to this horrible video where they're saying something disgusting? You feel the need to defend them, and that's where it's all about their profit. You're not replying to something that's to do with what you're saying. You're replying to something that shows them as these horrible people. And that's where it's a cult, where it's like they feel the need to defend them and come to their protection. And it feeds into all these, they've got all these scams now, the Real World and Hustlers University, and it's all built into just, driving it back into them getting more money, more power.
And even the guys that say, they saved my life after my divorce because I was suicidal. I mean, what was it about the Tate's message that made you think, wow, my life is, I have a different outlook on life? I mean, the only thing I could think of is they sat there and they told you your ex-wife was a hoe. She was terrible. She was worthless. And thank goodness you got rid of her. And you're actually the good one. I mean, but it's built on putting down women and making it where this wasn't your fault. The divorce was her. She was the hoe. She was the terrible one. It's not built on building you up, which is what Jordan Peterson has always been about. And I don't like everything about Jordan Peterson, but I didn't find anything wrong with his message to young men.
No, and look, there was this scare campaign around Jordan Peterson that somehow people saw Jordan Peterson as like the king of the incels, and that he somehow epitomizes like toxic masculinity. But as far as I'm aware, I've seen no men who've gone out with women who were self-proclaimed Jordan Peterson fans.
Right.
There are people who, I just in the UK, just recently, there was this crossbow killer. And it's absolutely horrible. He went and murdered his ex-girlfriend who broke up with him and did horrible things to her while he was murdering her. And he murdered also other females in her family. And he was watching Andrew Tate just before that happened. And to feed back into the lawsuit, the prosecutor tried to put that into the court case and the judge dismissed it because he thought it would actually create bias in the jury because Andrew Tate, has this reputation that I believe is deserved for putting out messages that, encourage men to despise women.
Yeah. I think there's a culture right now, which I understand the culture of defend anybody who the Matrix is going after, right? That's kind of the idea is, you've got a lot of people that they were never in the crosshairs until they became famous, until they were starting to speak up against certain issues or whatever it might have been. And then suddenly, they're now being hunted down and the Matrix is coming after them. And I could understand why, like Tucker Carlson or Patrick Bet-David or Candace Owens, or even myself, at times have wanted to like pick up the mantle of these causes and say, hey, this isn't as things are not as they seem. But Andrew Tate is not one of those for me. Looking at the cases, looking at the history, I mean, he's actually been accused. It wasn't just when he got famous that he's been accused of this type of behavior. He's been accused numerous times over the decade. So this isn't like, oh, now you're famous, now you're speaking out, now people are coming after you. Why now? Well, actually with him, it's a bit different, it seems.
Yeah, look, I took a stand with COVID in Australia. We had some of the worst restrictions and COVID response. And I took a stand and I lost my job because of vaccine mandates. That's the only reason that I started making videos online. I never made videos online before that. But I lost my job because of vaccine mandates. And I was very disturbed with what I was seeing going on around the world. So like you said, that's how I started. I started making videos pushing back against the COVID response. But then I saw people, in my circle, and probably people in the circle that you were probably in, embracing Andrew Tate. And the more I looked into it, the more I found it just completely disturbing what was out there. And you're right. I mean, this is a guy that has a criminal track record that dates way past he ever even became famous. Mm-hmm. You even have that in the late 2010s in Romania. You have media coming up to him saying, you've been arrested. There's all this criminal stuff going on. What's going on? Women as far back as 2013 in the UK were going to the police claiming that he raped and sexually assaulted them.
Yeah.
So that dates back to 2013 that women were making formal complaints to the police and he was getting arrested. And yeah, primarily he's upfront about that one of the main reasons that he went to Romania was because of their relaxed laws around sexual assault and rape. And so he fled there while he was actively being investigated for rape and sexual assault. And that's probably a big reason why the Crown prosecution decided not to go forward with charging him, was because he fled at that time. And there's 4 women now who are taking him to civil court. And these are women that went to the police at the time that it happened.
Yeah.
He also has a separate criminal investigation where he has an extradition order in place with Romania to extradite him to UK to face charges for sex trafficking and rape, completely separate to the women that I just mentioned there. And that dates back to 2012 to 2015. So this goes a long way back. I mean, it's like, well, what's stopping anyone from just simply knowing that there's heat on them and that arrest is going to come quickly, and they can just quickly jump on any bandwagon to say, oh, the government's corrupt, they weaponize the legal system, they persecute people who speak out against them. I mean, anyone could just, see that that's happening and then just quickly start speaking out. And then as soon as they're arrested, just say, look, see, I was right. Matrix is attacking me.
Right.
I mean, it's absurd.
I'm sure if Jeffrey Epstein were alive today, that's exactly what he'd be claiming too, to be honest with you.
I have no doubt with his connections and everything that he would have a large fan base. Look, he was about to expose all these secrets, about Israel and America and things like that. And absolutely, you're absolutely right. He would have a lot of people in his corner.
Yeah. That's why we have to be so careful. Anybody can co-opt these types of movements or these types of narratives, I guess. Like, yes, we do know that the legal system's weaponized. We do know that they go after dissidents, that they use whatever they can to go after people they don't like to silence them. But that doesn't mean that's happening to everybody they go after. I mean, some people are just guilty, or some people are just bad guys or need to be investigated, and maybe they are found to be innocent later in court, but it wasn't the reason why they were gone after wasn't because they were speaking up against, the Matrix. That's not what was going on there. And I don't think that's, I agree. I mean, when I looked into the Andrew Tate case, when he was, hot on the radar and everybody was saying, look into this, I looked into it and I was like, no, look, women have been going to the police, like you mentioned, going to the police, not waiting for him to get famous and then saying, oh, now I'm going to file a lawsuit to make a bunch of money. Now, these women went to the police right after things happened. And there's numerous women that have gone to the police right after it happened. And I'm sorry, but I just don't believe that I don't believe in these types of conspiracies where it's like all of these women somehow colluded together in order to get him, 10 years later, or 12 years later.
Yeah, that's an important point. Yeah, there's 7 women that have made formal accusations against Andrew Tate, and this dates back to 2013 up until March this year. With the latest one, it makes it 8, I believe, and all of them allege exactly the same account of what happened to them, and they all claim that Andrew Tate choked them. I mean, no consent. Yeah, it's crazy that you need to say that, but there was no consent. So they all claim that they were sexually assaulted, even raped by Andrew Tate, and that he choked them, some to the point of being unconscious, some to the point that they sustained burst vessels in their eyes. And so some of them lost consciousness and came back around to find he was still having sex with them while they were unconscious. And so you have 8 women who all, have made the same allegations of being choked by Andrew Tate. And this stretches back from 2013 to 2025. These are women that have never met. Some of them don't even speak the same language. And it crosses from the UK to Romania to America.
Right.
I mean, that to ignore that, I don't know what, you're burying your head in the sand at that point.
Yeah. To claim, oh, no, they all colluded together. It's just one giant conspiracy. Just like how you and the other 15 people in the lawsuit colluded together, even though you never spoke to each other before in your lives. But somehow you colluded to defame. The amount of mental gymnastics that people have to perform to somehow defend the Tate brothers,
I can't understand, when people defend him. At this point, when I see people reply to me under these videos, very rarely it's people who, in good faith, have looked at things and balanced it all out and have come to the side of defending the Tate brothers.
Yeah. Okay, so where are you guys at with this lawsuit right now? So you're getting in front of it. What does that mean exactly?
So we're in the process of engaging with a First Amendment lawyer. So we're going to start to have meetings and make sure we kind of have a good game plan. But at this point, we're trying to raise the funds so that we can afford this defense. And like I said, hopefully we can just squash it as quickly as possible. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna fight it and try and make as much noise as possible, because I mean, this isn't just about us. These people with small accounts who successfully exposed him. It's a message to anyone that's attempting to speak out. There was even, recently when the rape gangs in the UK, when that was getting a lot of play, I think partly because Elon Musk was being quite vocal about it. A lot of people were speaking out about that, and there was even a rape gang survivor who posted about Andrew and Tristan Tate, because I think they were posting about it, which is the height of hypocrisy with what they're charged with. And this rape gang survivor was then threatened with a lawsuit by Andrew and Tristan Tate for her saying that they shouldn't be speaking about this. And it was disgusting to see, because they threatened her with a lawsuit, and then she had to then post a retraction. And then underneath that, they said, "This isn't enough. Go and make us a sandwich. Go and do this." This is the kind of people, and this is kind of lengths that they'll go. To me, it's kind of evil personified. So I think that's why it's important, that this case, because if they win or somehow we back down and they defeat us, that gives them the green light to really silence anyone that's trying to speak out against them.
Yeah, absolutely. Not just them, but anybody. I mean, this is a fight for free speech, 1,000%. You are entitled to your opinion. You're entitled to play clips of things he's said and then come up with an opinion about that. I mean, they put themselves in the public eye. They said these things very publicly, and this is 1,000% a free speech issue. And what's really interesting in the hypocrisy about it is, they claim to be for free speech, and then yet here they are, attempting to silence free speech. I mean, you just have to, again, defamation is tough, because unless they can prove that you are lying very specifically to harm them, with the intent to harm their business or with the intent to harm their image, and you knowingly lied, that's the only way they could potentially get you with defamation. But sharing your opinion whether or not they're guilty, we're all allowed to do that. We're all allowed to sit here and be like, yeah, I think they're guilty, or yeah, I think they're innocent. I mean, you're allowed to say whatever you want.
One of the example of defamation is me calling them vile scumbags.
And that's not defamation.
I can tell you with 100% conviction, I believe that they're vile scumbags.
Yeah, so you're allowed to. I mean, you're allowed to name call. You're allowed to say a lot of things about how you feel and what you think about them and your opinion. It's very, very tough. The only example I can think of where the common example that's used when I've consulted with attorneys about defamation is because, for one, I have to always watch out, am I going to be sued for defamation, which maybe after this segment, Andrew Tate will come after me too. My name might show up in the lawsuit. Whatever. But the consulting them, oftentimes the example that's used is STDs, like claiming somebody has AIDS or claiming somebody has some sort of medical ailment that and saying it very definitively, like, well, I know they have this, but even then you have to prove that you're saying it with the intention to harm their it's really tough. It's really tough to go after, especially as a public figure, to go after people for defamation.
That's a black and white thing as well.
Right. It has to be provably false. Like, whatever it is, it has to be provably false. without any. But you can still say, like, I think O.J. Simpson was guilty. I thought he was guilty the whole time. I'm allowed to say that.
Right.
He was acquitted. I get it. But still, many of us are allowed to say that O.J. Simpson was guilty. And that's okay. That's not defamation. We're allowed to say that. We're allowed to share our opinions. But the fact that the Tates are coming after you for sharing that opinion and for sharing their own opinions very publicly. I mean, what you're good at is making these compilation videos. I mean, you're fantastic at it, and you've been making them, and it's coming right out of their own mouths. It's not like you AI'd their words. There's no AI in these. This is them.
I mean that is the undeniable thing, is showing that, and especially showing that, contrasting that with what they say now, attempting to lie and change history. That's where it kind of just flatly exposes them.
Well, I hope you guys hit them with an anti-SLAPP. I mean, that's the obvious and quickest way to get rid of this, but also to sue them back so that they don't continue to do this to all of these people. I mean, if they want to come after me, I'll tell them right now, I'm going to get you with an anti-SLAPP, and it's not going to be good. You're going to lose, and I'm going to make sure to make some money, and I will donate it as well, after I pay back the legal fees of whatever it cost me. But you got to be, free speech needs to be protected at all costs, including from people who claim to be for free speech, who are clearly not, as they're filing every every defamation case that they possibly can against anybody and everybody that they possibly can. That needs to be exposed. I'm glad you're exposing that they're doing this, because there's a lot of people out there who think, oh no, they're part of the freedom camp. Well, this isn't part of the freedom camp, to be doing this type of thing, to be silencing free speech. So I'm glad you guys are doing this. I do have the link down below to the fundraiser. So anybody that wants to help you get the money so that you can get these attorneys to file these anti-SLAPPs, to get this case dismissed, not only get this one dismissed, but then to file an anti-SLAPP against them. That's what you got to do to prevent, to protect free speech. That's what has to happen. That's why those laws exist. And it's silly. One thing that I have to point out, I'm surprised that they've filed this in Florida, only because there are anti-SLAPP laws in Florida, I'm pretty sure. Let me just double check that. And Florida has 2 anti-SLAPP laws, one narrow and one broad. So, but then also, can they even step foot in Florida? I thought that Ron DeSantis was like, get out of my state. I don't like you people. And he's like filing criminal, like investigating them or whatever to kind of run them out of the state.
Yeah, the Attorney General launched an investigation when they stepped foot there, but also the DOJ is actively investigating them as well. So I'm not sure if we'll see the Tate brothers back in America anytime soon. Currently, their judicial controls from the Romanian charges with the cases, they're allowed to now travel outside of Romania. This is because the restrictions were lifted for America. From then on, it means that restrictions have to be lifted to meet that benchmark. So they're now allowed to travel outside of Romania, but they have to go back pretty frequently and then check back into a police station.
Okay, I was going to ask you, where are they at on their case? Because I know you've been following it. So has the case been dropped? Like, what's gone on with it? Where are they at with this?
So that's important. They continually say the first case that they were indicted for has been dropped. It hasn't been dropped. They pretty much just spammed over and over again with court hearings, and eventually they reached a point where they found a few not called errors, but things that needed to be fixed with the indictment. So that was returned to the prosecutor. So they're addressing that now. But those charges are still there. The indictment just needs to be fixed up to address that, which they're in the process of doing. And then there's a second case that they've also been formally charged with. That's even bigger. So both of those cases are still active. They're still charged with that. But I'll tell you, the place that they don't want to go is the UK. That's the last place on earth they want to go. Because they are also facing charges there, and the UK isn't slow like Romania with their process.
Right.
They'll arrest them and they'll send them to court, and the media is incredibly loud. They won't be able to spin what's going on over there, the media will be very loud and be reporting the truth about things.
Yeah. Well, Nathan, best of luck to you. Thanks for making those great videos, by the way, and especially when you did the COVID ones. And you've just been really great about making these compilations. And I'm sorry that this has resulted in this for you. This is like all of our worst nightmare. Just thinking one day we're all going to be hit with a lawsuit. And I think many of us prepare for that. Many of us have that in our minds of, sure, that's kind of, people get upset when you report certain things and they try to sue you, but because we are a very litigious country here in the United States. I don't know if are you guys very litigious out there? Or is it an American thing?
Not at all.
No?
I've never even spoken to a lawyer. I've never even spoken to a lawyer until this.
I'm sorry. Yeah, well, welcome to America. Or hopefully you don't have to come to America for the lawsuit, right? Well, Nathan, we do have the link down below to the lawsuit. Also have the link down below to your social media, to your X account. Is there anywhere else you'd like to send people?
No, that's the primary places. I'm mainly on X.
Okay, excellent. All right, Nathan. Well, good luck to you, and I'll keep in touch with you so that we can find out what happens with this case.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me.
Thank you for watching this clip from the full Kim Iverson Show, which you can catch Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. We do live stream it every day. It's a 1-hour show. You can catch it. It is totally free. Just go to KimIversonShow.com. See you there.